Piratesoftware has opened the door to fraud allegations after a leaked DM shows some controversial behavior.
So he opens right up and says he's opened the door to fraud, which leads me to believe that, it sounds like it might be illegal.
Okay. Well, if we go back to this DM communication between the two of them, we're going to see that he says that he donated 100 tier 1s on his personal, but they were talking about focusing on either doing bit donations or tier 3s, since those might be better. Bits being 82% return. So
yeah, and those two things specifically were what was coming from the alt. So that's the part he didn't disclose. Yeah, he's donating 200 tier 1 subs to the community every month as a way to give back. But you didn't tell your community about the tier 3 subs that you brag about, and all the bits that you were getting to keep the hype train going that were coming from this alt that you didn't tell them was actually your moderator.
But I mainly think that it feels scummy because it's deceptive. If they had come out the gate saying, hey, you know, we're doing this thing, we are donating, we are going...
Yeah, when you've been deceived, even if what you're doing is on the up and up, when you've been deceived in order to have it done to you, it still feels scummy. Even if what they're doing is allowed, if they deceived you in order to do it instead of just telling you that's what we're doing, then it feels scummy. It's the lying part. There we go. Piratesoftware just got caught. So this guy catches him when he pulls up his DMs on stream. And then you get to watch him crash out about it and try to lie about it. And he tried to lie about it at first until he realized people had saved the VOD after he deleted it. I don't know why he keeps doing this. Why has he not learned that when you put something on the internet, it is there forever? It doesn't matter if you delete it or not. Like, you can delete the VOD all you want. It's still there. Somebody saved it, I promise. When you're a fucking streamer as big as he is, there are people recording your live streams as you stream them. Like, it's already done. You just need to come to terms with the fact that whatever you put on the internet is there forever. But anyway.
And Kronos says.
So he pulls up his Discord on stream. And he didn't realize that his Discord would open to the last conversation he was on, which is just dumb on his part, but it opened to a conversation with his mod. And when he realizes it was on that conversation, he quickly clicks away from it. But it's too late. Once it's on screen, people can just screen cap it. Like, they can go frame by frame. Like, if it's up there for a singular frame, it's a frame too many. So it was too late. So he doesn't just cheat in puzzle games. He cheats in Twitch itself. He is. And now people are starting to question whether or not he faked the majority of his hype train back when he broke Twitch's hype train record back in 2024. Back then, no one questioned it, but now that we've learned how frequently this man cheats and lies, people are starting to question whether or not that was legit. So that's why he's just so desperate to hide it now, because they may take his record away from him at the very least. Anyway, turning off the game sound, and we are going to watch Waffle's going to beat the fuck out of me real quick while we watch Piratesoftware get caught faking his hype train.
Did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. Pirate says, okay, what is the alt account? Kronos replies, serendipitous bean, where's the beef? And then below that, he says, didn't mention this to the mods either. Now the challenge is to clear the queue. We were actually able...
Yeah, so he asked him for the name of the alt that his mod is using, tells him which alt is about to donate a bunch to him, and then he says the hard part's going to be clearing the queue. So, you know, basically removing the evidence. Because he doesn't want that to show up in the queue. He's going to try to quickly get rid of it afterward.
Able to receive an archived VOD of this stream. As a matter of fact, if I go ahead and jump...
Dumbass.
Yeah, you should plan this out in advance, but he decided to do it on, he was having this conversation live on stream, which tells me he probably didn't plan it out in advance. This was a spur of the moment thing. When he realized his hype train was about to expire and he couldn't handle it expiring, he decided he was going to quickly message a mod and be like, hey, we need to keep this going. What can you do for me?
Jump over here to 726. We're going to see exactly what I'm talking about.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What?
So this is him pulling it up on stream here, and I'll just go ahead and let the rest of it play, as you guys will see that this is indeed Pirates.
What?
I jumped over your DP somehow. I don't know how I did that.
Software. The information that I'm going to be presenting to you guys in this video is going to, at a bare minimum, showcase yet another example of Pirate Software being incredibly scummy, or it could also include Pirate Software breaching the terms of service of Twitch, or at its worst, could actually spell legal consequences for Pirate Software. Now, at the time of recording this, I've spoken to a lawyer, and I'm actually going to be including a few clips from our conversation that we had, as I think they're useful for this video, but I'm also going to be creating an update video where I go much more in depth with this lawyer after we fully go through the details of all the information that we've gathered. Through other people, we've also been able to get in touch with someone who works at Twitch to go over this possible alleged terms of service being broken at Twitch. I should also make it very clear that the legal ramifications are not going to be gone in full depth here, and they are just alleged right now. I'm not saying that he has broken any laws yet, but there is potential. But with this oversized preamble out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, this all starts late one night just a few days ago when somebody in my Discord, shout out to CK, ends up sending in a screenshot of this tweet.
Dang,
this tweet comes from Guy, and they
All right, so sends out a screenshot of that tweet. Pirate Software accidentally revealed his DMs with Kronos during the April 1st Twitch Giga Train, showing that they were boosting it themselves. This is why the stream is unavailable to watch.
say Pirate Software accidentally revealed his DMs with Kronos during the April 1st Twitch Giga Train, showing that they were boosting it themselves. This is why the stream is unavailable to watch. And here we have this screenshot. I want to make it clear at this point, this is the only thing that we have in regard to this situation. So let's take a look at that screenshot. Now in this screenshot, it is Pirate wearing a banana costume, or excuse me, a long lemon. And he's on Discord here, and it looks like he must have accidentally pulled up this Discord interaction that he was having with Kronos. That's his lead moderator. Reading off the messages here, the first one from Kronos is, Pirate responds, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return if you need to save it. Kronos says, bits rather than tier 3s? Pirate responds, tier 3s might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? Kronos says, I've done 100 tier 1.
Yeah, so he's literally telling him what to buy, and that line right there is the line that makes the legality questionable, where he says bits is at 82% return when you buy them in bulk. So he's basically saying, I'll pay you back for the price of it, and when you buy in bulk, 82% of that is what you're getting, 82% off the price. So if I pay you back the full amount you paid, you've only really lost 18% or whatever it was. So he's basically saying you're going to get your money back. Where's that money going to come from? Is Twitch going to give it back to him? No, that's Pirate Software.
Ones on my personal, ready to do 40 tier 3s on an alt, can do bits instead or both. Then Kronos says, did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. Pirate says, okay, what is the alt account? Kronos replies, serendipitous bean, where's the beef? And then below that, he says, didn't mention this to the mods either. Now the challenge is to clear the queue. So that's a lot to throw at you at once, and we're gonna pick it apart as we go over this video, but what is going on here? Now to preempt this, some people might know that Twitch uses this thing called a hype train. Essentially, the more you get donations or gifts in a
happy to help.
Short amount of time, it raises the level of this hype train. And when you pass
So I think we all know what a hype train is, but I guess he's explaining it for the people who don't watch Twitch, which if you don't watch Twitch, you don't know who Twitch streamers are. I'm not sure why you'd be watching Pirate Software content, but anyway.
certain benchmarks, people unlock things. For instance, last year on April 1st, back in 2024, Twitch's hype train record smashed again by Pirate Software. And they go into detail about Pirate breaking the Twitch hype train world record with his channel reaching level 106.
So this is the one everyone's questioning, where his hype train broke the world record with his channel reaching level 106 on April 1st, and that was last year. He had 54,380 subscriptions, 80 subs, 54,380 subs, and 8,225,386 bits donated to keep that hype train going. So if you need that translated into money, it was about 60 grand for that entire stream, I think, is what that boiled down to after Twitch took their 50% cut.
April 1st. Once the hype train was initiated, it took Hall roughly 3 hours to beat his previous level 55 world record from December, with viewers contributing 54,380 gifted subs alongside regular subscriptions and 8.2 million bits, likely earning Hall a healthy 6-figure sum in the process. And he goes into a bit more detail. Hype trains, a feature that Twitch launched in 2020, are a limited time event triggered when a channel receives an uptick in bits or subscriptions, pushing past a streamer designated threshold. And you can see here that the people that were a part of this hype level 100 train were given the Kappa Infinite emote, dropping in chat for hype train participants. I wanted to show this because it'll be important later, but Vedal.
See, all of that's fine. Having a special emote that only unlocks if you participate in a hype train, that's a good way to promote your hype train.
Is a name of a VTuber who ended up beating that record and getting to a 111 level hype train. And this is what Piratesoftware had to say when they found out their record was broken.
So Vedal broke the hype train record. Vedal's record is now level 111, and that's wild. I think that's freaking incredible, to be honest with you. With help from Valorant, I mean, yeah. So during that hype train, they got an extra 19,000 subs from Valorant, which is wild, like absolutely wild. So I think they ended up with something like 80,000 subs. Our hype train was 54,000 subs, but you guys had given 8 million bits, and that was kind of the difference between the two. No, there's no.
Yeah. So that other guy, the guy he beat, had more subs to keep his hype train going, but this is why it's important and why people think he faked it, is the other guy had more subs to keep his hype train going, but Piratesoftware had more bits with like 8 million some odd bits, and bits is what he was discussing with his mod to donate to his stream, was the big thing that he was going to be doing to keep his hype train going. So they were wondering, like, were you doing this then?
No cheating. No, don't try to diminish.
And he gets called out for the cheating right there.
What they did at all. I think Vedal is an amazing content creator. I think Neuroscience is cool as shit.
So that specific part about cheating, what do you think that Pirate means by that cheating? He said, no, let's not take that away. I don't think there was cheating. Don't diminish that. I would assume that cheating in terms of building up a hype train would maybe be to artificially inflate it yourself, by chance coordinating with a mod of yours, maybe your head mod, to keep a hype train.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone would call cheating, is to artificially inflate the numbers yourself. Yeah.
Alive. I would say that myself. Could be wrong. Interested to hear what you guys think, but let's continue on. And to make it clear, we're not contesting.
Does anybody disagree with that statement? Artificially inflating numbers yourself in a hype train meant for other people would be cheating? Is that not how everyone would define it? Is there anyone in chat at all who disagrees with that statement?
His 106 level hype train that happened back in April of 2020.
Cheating, but definitely fraud.
Well, I mean, the hype train wouldn't keep going had you not paid into it yourself, but your chat is led to believe that someone other than you paid into it because you're using alt accounts. I'd call that cheating. I mean, fraud, cheating, kind of the same thing.
24. I have no reason to believe that there were any shenanigans
I'm not,
involved.
Disagreeing. I don't know. I'd maybe more consider it fraud.
I think they're trying to avoid the word fraud right now because fraud is a legal term and they're not sure if it's broken the law yet. But at the very least, it's cheating the system, which is against TOS. I do not know this character.
With his 106 world record breaking one, is I don't have any evidence of that. And regardless of your understanding of his pattern of behavior, anything like that, I'm not making that allegation myself. I'm not saying anything about that specific achievement. We're talking about this year, April 1st, 2025. Now, I think one of the most important parts about this is validating that this is a real screenshot. And how are we going to do that? Because as it stands right now, Piratesoftware had removed the YouTube VOD, and as well as the Twitch VOD ends up deleting itself after 60 days.
Which I think just makes you look more guilty. If you're as innocent as you claim you are, then why are you deleting VODs? Why don't you want people to see that?
And I think we hit that threshold. Now, this leak could be the reason that this ended up getting taken down, this VOD, but there's another potential reason as to why, and it actually comes from that head moderator that you saw in the screenshot, Kronos. Now, I had replied to Guy, and I'm actually going to show you two different ones. The guy actually posted this screenshot in a couple of other places. I said, hey, where were you able to find this? Would like to get some more info on this. And then they replied, it's my own screenshot from the stream, ex-subscriber. And so I said, could you send me a screenshot of where that file is in your folder, just so we can see a timestamp of that picture? I know that's weird, but the more info we have, the more we can validate this. And I give my Discord.
Yeah, so He's actually got called out by the mod for Piratesoftware on Twitter, and now he's trying to coordinate with him to be like, well, hey, can you prove the things you're saying, and communicating with him. Let's see how he takes that.
Well, Kronos replied back, and you guys might recognize this phraseology here. You could have asked me about this one had you reached out. Well, I couldn't reach out to Kronos unless I added him and then he accepted my friend request on Discord since we don't share a mutual server, which means
I love when streamers and shit do that when they try to call you out and be like, well, you could have reached out to me instead of making it public. No, I couldn't. You've got your DM set to private. There was literally no way to get in touch with you unless you added me first, and you're not going to add a random person. So they know that you literally can't reach out to them, but they're going to act as if you can so that the public will be on their side. It's a common tactic.
I can't just message him even if we aren't friends. But he goes on to say, I've spoken about this before, but I guess the truth isn't as compelling. Kronos VII on Discord. VOD was removed to prevent a 2025 repeat of people watching the 2024 video and messaging donators, myself included. Now I should note that I also said, if you could send me your January comments relating to this, I'd love to have them. Also, sent you a friend request on Discord. That was 12 hours ago. He still has not added me back, still waiting.
All right, so he basically said, okay, we'll continue the talk in private. And after he said I added you on Discord and all that stuff, the guy stopped responding
on that response. But I think to remain charitable here, the VOD was removed to prevent a 2025 repeat of people watching the 2024 video and messaging donators. Let's just go with that. Now, Kronos made another reply, and I want to highlight this. He said this before. In January, during the WoW drama, people contacted me and others about donating during the Hype Train record in 2024. This year, I did less from my main and did some on an alt. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a bit confused about this message. People contacted me and others about donating during the Hype Train record in 2024. I think he's saying that in the same fashion that they were people harassing donators in the last one back in 2024, he didn't want to have the same issue, so he donated and wanted to make donations from that alternate account.
But that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you were worried that people would contact your donators because they can see their names on screen and everything, you were using an alt anyway. So who would they be donating? Who would they be contacting? And besides that, your notifications still pop up even if you delete the VOD. People could still see it on stream. It's not like they wouldn't still be contacted. This is a piss poor excuse.
Now, based on how I'm reading this, and again, I could be wrong, maybe I'm misunderstanding what Kronos said, but he said that he did do 100 tier 1s on his personal. Now, if you have an issue with people harassing you and you end up using an alt, I would figure that you would probably send most of the donations through
She's poking the Chung Lee booty. Sorry.
that alt account, but sending 100 separate tier 1 subs, or maybe they were grouped in 5s, 25, maybe did it all at once, that's still putting your name out there. That's still going to get people to message you. So, I mean, having the VOD deleted afterwards is going to solve all of it regardless, so you shouldn't have to worry about if you donated it using your personal account. The VODs have been wiped. I just wanted to make sure I went through both of his messages. I'm not trying to cherry pick here, but let's move on to how we were able to confirm that this existed in the first place. Number one, Kronos is not refuting it, but more importantly, number two, we were actually able to receive an archived VOD of this stream. Now I'm about to show you guys an...
Oh, his audio just changed. It's coming out of a different ear now. Yeah, and you got to read between the lines when they do stuff like that, because he's right. Even after everything they've said, bottom line is he did not refute it. He did not argue against it. He's not saying it didn't happen. He's just trying to get you to not pay attention to it, to stop talking about it.
Archived VOD of this exact stream where we're able to prove that those leaked DMs showed up in this stream. Now, at the time that I first showed this, and the first time that I had found it in my Discord, as that's where it was sent in, I didn't know who had archived this, but I want to give credit to the individual who had this archived VOD, and that is Scorpion from MK on Kiwi Farms. And I want to apologize that I did not know this going into my stream. Again, you deserve full credit for this, and I genuinely really appreciate that you had this VOD. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this solid proof to back up this screenshot that we had found, so thank you. Here it is in all of its glory. It is 11 hours and 59 minutes and 57 seconds. To the best of my knowledge, this stream was 12 hours long. So they usually do that 11-hour 55 cut, so we have the entire thing, and it's not super relevant to be missing those last couple of minutes because we have everything we need here. As a matter of fact, if I go ahead and jump over here to 7:26, we're going to see exactly what I'm talking about.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What?
So this is him pulling it up on stream here, and I'll just...
All right, yep. So that's how long it was on stream, and then he immediately sees it, which it was up there for like an unusual amount of time because he did pull it up, but he pulled it up and then like immediately looked at chat. So he's got it right here, but then he immediately looks at chat over here. So it took him a second to notice it was up, which is just dumb on his part. And then when you see him look away from chat and back over to the screen, there's a slight little panic in his face, and he quickly clicks to a random other private message on his Discord, anything other than the one with his mod. So you quickly see him click away from it and try to play it off, but it's too late. Damage is done.
Let's go ahead and let the rest of it play, as you guys will see that this is indeed Piratesoftware. You can see his messages between Kronos, the ones that we were just showing you, and then you're going to watch him go ahead and delete the text-to-speech that he just heard.
What?
While wearing the banana
What is this?
costume is fucking
Where is
wild,
it?
too.
Yep, and then, it's a long lemon. It's not a banana costume. Nothing gay about it. Okay, it's just a long lemon. Yeah, and then he quickly clicks away over to this screen.
I'm gonna find this. I need to find your message. God damn it, click. Click, you garbage machine. What?
And he tries to blame it on his computer like it's not doing what he wanted it to do. But it's clear you were caught, bro. You were caught, okay? It's clear. Ow.
Who are you? Why are you like this? Number 420. Deleted. Jesus Christ.
Now, number one, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's aptly proving that, yes, this is indeed Piratesoftware. He's going through, he deleted the text-to-speech, you heard him talking about it, and he had the authority to delete that message. Now, the other thing I found interesting about this little chain of events here is that he quickly switches to a different DM after he realizes that this is on screen, and that happens before he goes to his Discord. And
Yeah, which is what we just saw him do. So you'll get to see him do it again, and then he'll quickly click off, and then he'll start complaining about the computer not working, as if it's the computer's fault. He can't even take responsibility for something we all saw him do live on stream.
he looks a bit panicked, but that, again, I'm speculating here, right?
What?
No, I mean, I agree. He does look a bit panicked.
What is this? Where?
He jumps over to this one first to, clear so you guys can't see what he's saying to Kronos, and that's when he starts looking for his server.
Is it? I'm gonna find this. I need to find your message. God damn it, click.
So now that we've confirmed that this really does exist, it existed on that VOD, let's take a look at that screenshot again. So this specific bit up here, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return.
Yeah, so he's specifically asking him for bits, and bits was his highest number during the last one, which is why everyone think maybe he cheated his last one. I mean, it all makes sense.
If you need to save it. Bits,
But we are speculating because we don't know for sure.
rather than tier 3s, tier 3s might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? Now, my leading theory here, specifically with that 82% number that Thor is throwing out, has to do with the conversion rate when you get bits into a Twitch stream. Now, as you can see here, when your viewers perform and confirm an action that requires bits within the extension on your channel page, you'll earn 80% of 1 US cent per bit used, and the remaining 20% is shared with the extension developer. So here's that 80%, but let's do a little bit of that math. So taking a look here, I just took a screenshot. It went into a Twitch stream, went to the bits, and you can actually get a 12% discount at 25,000 bits.
Yep, and that's where that 80 some percent odd return on investment number comes from, is because of the discount you get when you buy in bulk.
So that puts you at a $308 price tag. Now, to make this a bit easier to understand, one of my buddies here actually created this here, so special thanks to them, but we're showing that 82.
Yeah, so you get an 82% return on your money back, which is what he says there, and then he can add it up. $250 in, $308 out, so you pay $308 to Twitch. So that's a $308 package of bits. But Piratesoftware would get $250 back. And Piratesoftware is basically saying, I will give you back the money it paid me for those bits. So he's not going to get the full $308 back. He's not going to reimburse him the full amount. He's going to pay him what Twitch gave him, which equals out to 82% of the money paid. So when he says a 82% return on investment, that means when Twitch pays Piratesoftware the $250 from that many bits, he's going to take that $250, give it back to Kronos, essentially buying his own bits, which is absolutely against Twitch's TOS. Whether or not it's legal is questionable, and we'll look at that after this.
2%. So bid is 82% when you buy them in bulk. What he means is,
yeah, because bits are non-transferable according to Twitch TOS. Exchanging bits for goods and service or money from another user is against Twitch's TOS. And by paying him back for those bits, he's essentially using bits for a good or service, that service of faking his hype train, and paying for them from Kronos instead of paying Twitch for them, which is why it's against TOS.
if you spend $308 to buy 25,000 bits, donate them, the streamer gets $250. And then of course, Twitch takes its fee, that 20%, being $58, which means that $250 is the money going out, like to the streamer, and $308 is the money that you put into the system to give that $250 to the streamer. So that's how you end up getting a return on your money of 81.1.6. Now there is that 0.84%, discrepancy between.
You just burnt yourself out, but.
Yeah, I mean he rounded up to get the 82%, but you get what he's saying. It's basically he was just rounding up. I'm sure that Kronos knew what he meant. Damn it! I just couldn't get it to come out.
Between this 81% and 82% the Pirate's referencing, but I think that that is a safe enough margin of error when we're talking about this. But all of that math is to show that this 82% return when you buy them in bulk is referencing that they are receiving 82% of the funds that are used in these donations, meaning that 82% is going to Piratesoftware, which would then in turn, and I think the only reason Piratesoftware is talking about this return is because that money would be going back to Kronos.
Yeah, because he's going to be paying him back. That's literally the only way to interpret that.
Not only would he be able to donate to this hype train and help it out, which he literally admits to, as we see in these messages here. Right down here, he says, did 50K bits at 20 seconds left. But they're also trying to save as much overhead as possible and get it back to Kronos without bleeding as much money. Now, I'm sure there's a potential for another reason for them to have been talking in this way. That is my best guess based on the information that I was able to pull about the bits, percentage of what goes to the creator, what ends up going to Twitch. Interested to hear what you guys think if anyone understands these systems a bit better. Now, another wrench in this point is the fact that Kronos lives in the UK, so we don't know for sure if he's using that or, the currency where he lives. And that could play a factor since the price of bits is...
I would argue that doesn't play a factor, that any amount of currency used is still breaking TOS and probably a violation of the law. It's still fraud. Whether or not he's paying him in dollars or euros and the specific amount, I don't think that matters. I'd say even if he paid $1 back for it, that's $1 worth of fraud. It's still fraud.
Is different based on where you're from. Now we're about to get into where this could potentially break terms of service with Twitch and some of that potential legal aspect to this. But first I want to go over that alt account that Kronos is referencing. Now this is that serendipitous bean account. It does exist on Twitch. Moreover, if we go over and look at the overview for this profile, and that's over here on Twitch Tracker, we can see that the account was created April 1st of 2025, which would line up with the timeline of having this alt account created on the same day that this stream was recorded. And then going back here, we can see Kronos referencing what his alt account name is and saying, where's the beef? Now, this is important. As a matter of fact, still in Pirate's Discord, there are these answered TTS from 3 months ago, which lines up with that time frame. And here we can see, probably the one that I'm specifically referring to here is my favorite ferret is beef.
Yeah, so you can see him actually what his TTS was for those donations, where he's clearly pretending to be someone other than Kronos. So the purpose of the alt, which I think everyone already knew, why use an alt unless you want people to not know it's you, that the purpose of the alt was to trick his chat into thinking it's a random chatter instead of his mod.
Because where's the beef? So I think it's pretty safe to say we can tell that this is Kronos, since he literally said verbatim, where's the beef in the Discord messages between him and Pirate. So we know for a fact that Pirate has seen, can confirm, and knows that Serendipitous Bean is Kronos's alt account. Not only that, but we have something super cringe. So that was the first Twitch text-to-speech, and we could actually kind of attribute that maybe Pirate didn't know that that was the alt at the time that that text-to-speech went out. But we do know for a fact that the second text-to-speech that was sent out by Serendipitous Bean,
combo,
Pirate
built
knew
into his fucking his basic little launcher built in
with a damage nerf.
Yeah, but you literally just do auto combo fucking BB and then you do the fucking inputs afterwards. Well, there is one move that you can't do without fucking...
Yeah.
full well that it was Kronos. That's going to make the second clip I'm about to play you that much more painful to watch. So here's that where's the beef.
Yeah, which means he knew it was Kronos before he got it, but seeing his reaction proves that he is definitely trying to trick his chat.
Texas speech here.
Serendipitous Bean with 25,000 bits said my favorite ferret is beef because WHERES the beef.
So that was the first one sent from Kronos, and this is the second one.
Serendipitous Bean with 50,000 bits said IRL friend of Kronos and excited that they are now free from corporate.
Oh, and calls himself an IRL friend of Kronos. Like, oh, it's like Peter Parker. He's friends with Spider-Man in real life.
I know.
Love your stream and what you do for people here. There aren't many cool or supportive streamers left once they get big like this. Stay cool, bud, and tell Kronos that Ben sends their regards.
I'm sorry you had to know Kronos in real life,
with
just like me.
500 bits said when is Yar pregnant man going to be real?
He had to do a little glazing for his boss, but oh my
Yeah,
god.
it glazes him a little bit, but yeah, the way he reacts to it.
That was painful, knowing now that that is actually Kronos. But now lastly, over here at the bottom, didn't mention this to the mods either, so this wasn't, planned amongst all the other mods, but then right below that says, now the challenge is to clear the queue. Now what's this clearing the queue? Well, there's actually an answer, and this is in the form of one of Piratesoftware's shorts.
What's the TTS queue and wait time? So every time somebody donates to do a TTS, I actually have a system, and you can see it goes into this queue. Every time I hit this button, like this, it eats
Amf cheer 500 loving war within so far as a warlock.
But yeah, your message then goes into Discord. It actually has a timestamp here to show where that's going on, so you can click on it, and it works, right? And then if I don't get to your message by the end of the stream, it goes into debt. And right now,
Now, this I'll give him credit for. This is cool. This is a cool thing that streamers would do. Unfortunately, cheating your system to avoid doing this just makes you look like a bigger piece of shit. So what he's saying is that every time somebody donates, your donation goes into a queue. And if he doesn't read your donation by the end of the stream from the queue, every donation left in the queue before he ends the stream, he donates the money from those donations to charity. Because if he didn't read your donation on stream, he doesn't deserve the money from it, which is great. That sounds like a pretty honest way to do things. Makes him sound like a great guy. Unfortunately, when you find out he's faking donations in order to avoid doing this, while he's bragging about doing this for charity because he's such an honest streamer, well, that makes it that much worse.
given $56,805 to charity since November of last year, because if I don't answer your message, I don't deserve the money, so we pay it to charity.
So I think that's all that you specifically need to know. Now we understand that every TTS that doesn't get cleared through the queue, meaning Pirate ends up playing it for the stream, that ends up all getting donated to charity. And it seems like Kronos is well aware of that fact. And so now the challenge being to clear the queue means that they want to make sure that they get through everything so that none of it gets donated to charity. Now that could be nefarious, but also at the same time, I think the goal is that he does want to read through them all because he wants to, you know, appreciate the people that have been sending the money to him. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure their goal is to get through every single one of those text-to-speeches, and inevitably, you know, they will end up donating some to charity because they might not be able to get through all of them in a single stream. And it ends up being that if they don't read it, ends up going to charity. So I don't really see an issue per se with that. Some people could take it that way. I don't think I necessarily need to make that argument because I think there's a reasonable understanding that, of course, the goal is to clear the queue every time, and it's not just because it's all going into their pockets, although that's the main reason, but they do also just want to respect the viewers that have sent their money in. But now let's talk about that Twitch terms of service and if this is breaching that terms of service. Now this hinges on the hypothesis that Kronos is getting paid back by Pirate through these bit donations that he did. And he did 75,000 bits in total, so $750. Now, of course, there was a little bit less due to that 12% discount, but that's the ballpark here. And again, reached out to see if someone from Twitch can actually better clarify if any terms of service were broken. So at this moment, this is all just speculation and I don't have any other confirmation. Now, what I'm showing you guys here is from Twitch's legal bits acceptable use policy. Now, I'm just going to read the title of this area that I'm going to be reading from. Bits cannot be directly exchanged for items or services of value. Now, that specifically directly exchanged is a bit, you know, convoluted here since it's going directly to the stream, but then supposedly, potentially, Kronos will be getting paid back. The front line reads, don't engage in an exchange of bits for items or services that typically are associated with a cost or value.
So it's a direct violation of that one there. Do not engage in an exchange of bits or items for services that are typically associated with a cost or value. So you're straight up giving him money for bits. That's not allowed.
Communities can gather to achieve a goal that unlocks a benefit or experience for the community, explained further below. Creators can announce benefits in response to individual cheers. However, in each of those scenarios, the activity does not provide a return of anything of value. And down here explicitly, it says, now the don'ts that constitute violations of this policy. Don't solicit bits in exchange for money or donations, and don't request money or donations for bits. Now, this doesn't work because Pirate is not saying, hey, we're, giving you guys money if you give me bits. And it's also not Kronos requesting money for those donations. But if we come down here, we can see this specific point here: selling, offering to sell, trading, bartering, or transferring bits to other users of Twitch in exchange for real or virtual currencies. Now this, we could make the argument that the selling, or I should say offering to sell or transferring bits to other users of Twitch in exchange for real currency would be the equivalent of Kronos donating those bits to Pirate's stream, knowing that he's getting this, as we talked about, that 82% return. Or I should say that 82% return is going to Pirate. That assumption being that this return of 82% is for Pirate so that he can get it back to him and lower their overhead costs. Now again, there is nothing directly stating outright you cannot, as like a moderator or an employee for a streamer.
Yeah, there's no rule against a moderator donating to their streamer to help them out. There's no rule against that. It's the act of him paying that moderator to do it for him is where he's crossing the line. And the fact that they're like planning it out in advance and it's not just your moderator helping out on his own. It's very deceptive.
Donate bits to, get that money back afterwards. But there's no specific ruling on that, or not at least that I've seen from the research that I've put together, or that any research with people that I have worked with making this video have found themselves. Now, other examples of this Twitch terms of service potentially being broken here has to come from spam, scams, and other malicious conduct. And listed below in, for example, you may not, it includes this part here about engage in viewership tampering, such as artificially inflating follow or live viewer stats. Now, my expert armchair analysis, I would look at that and go, okay, well, they were seemingly based off of, Kronos directly saying, I added those 50K bits with 20 seconds left. It sounds like he is artificially, with coordination from Piratesoftware, keeping the hype train going, which may look like natural engagement, which may incentivize other people to donate to the hype train because they want to build it up, because there is a potential that they unlock this emote or they unlock other rewards in the progression of leveling up this hype train. I think this might also contribute to the cheat the Twitch reward system, in which case I think maybe you could make that argument, but at the
and it specifically calls out cheating the Twitch reward system, which it absolutely would. You should make that argument, because not only is he cheating the system to get money and bits, but the main reason is to cheat the hype train, which increases the amount of money and the amount of rewards that he gets. So yes, you're cheating the Twitch reward system.
At the same time, the alternate account that he would have been donating these bits on wouldn't really be cheating that Twitch reward system, since he would be receiving the rewards from it. Again, that's more like incentivizing other people that would naturally donate. They would be more likely to donate if you were getting closer to one of those goals. And they got closer to that goal by artificially inflating the train. Pyrocynical is going to have a heyday with this video if he ever reacts to it. Now, the last big TOS thing that I have here is under prohibited conduct here. Specifically here under II, it says impersonate any person or entity, or falsely claim an affiliation with any person or entity. Now, technically, Kronos impersonated someone that was friends with Kronos. I think that's a really lame technicality, but at the end of the day, he did pretend to have a friend, which is kind of funny. But more specifically, in the second part of this II here, it says, misrepresent the source, identity, or content of information transmitted via the Twitch services. I would say by using an alternate account and not disclosing that to the public that was viewing the stream would count as misrepresenting the source and identity of the person donating. But all of these potential breaks in the terms of service could mean absolutely nothing. Now, I spoke with the lawyer that had actually worked with Private Parts back when he received a cease and desist from Piratesoftware in regard to his video game, including Piratesoftware's voice in it. Now, I spoke with him a little bit about this specific point, and he had some really interesting information to provide in regard to the fact that Piratesoftware might have a different contract with Twitch that would supersede the terms of service that would typically apply as a blanket for most people that are streaming on Twitch.
I feel like if he had his own personal contract with Twitch that would supersede that or give him some kind of exception or make that part null and void, he would have already bragged about it. Piratesoftware is not the kind of guy to just keep stuff like that, especially stuff that would make him look better. He's way too boastful. He's the kind of guy that feels the need to brag constantly.
Another layer here too, right? Okay, So there's the terms of service that most of us are going to have available to us, but someone like him, He may have a different terms of service that we don't get to see. He may have a separate individual contract. He could have a separate written agreement that says literally on it, Twitch terms of service are superseded by our written agreement. Thusly, you may only think you may think, and Twitch may allow you to think, because that seems more fair. It seems like more fair for gamers if the rules are all the same for everybody. But no, they don't have to tell you that. Nobody has to tell you that. So he has. And I would be kind of surprised, actually, if he didn't have a separate agreement that said those terms of service do not apply except to this extent, or are superseded except to this.
Normally, I'd agree with whatever lawyer he's talking to here, which we're going to watch a different lawyer's take on it. But whatever lawyer he's talking to here would be surprised if Pirate Software didn't have a separate contract. I would be surprised if he did, because I feel like that's a thing he wouldn't have been able to resist bragging about. For all these years, he's never once mentioned, no shot, dude. No shot. That guy can't help but brag.
I mean, if I were him, I would want to have a separate agreement, and his agreement it's possible. Who knows? We don't know what his contract is. We could talk theoretically.
But I see the point he's making. We can't make a definitive statement because we don't know.
About what Twitch's terms of service, how it would apply if it applies to him. But we honestly don't know. And that kind of thing is not that uncommon in the real business world. Like in when it comes to real business and you're dealing with real large amounts of money, people have individual there's contracts of adhesion, we call them, are the ones that ordinary users can't change. Right. Ordinary users have no opportunity to change. But when you get into like where real money is changing hands, people don't do contracts of adhesion. They're custom. That's why you have lawyers. You negotiate these things. I
don't think he knows how Twitch runs as a business.
Negotiated. He may have had it so that this doesn't even apply at all, and it's not like he's expressly allowed to, but it's just like the prohibitions that would normally prohibit this do not apply, and maybe Twitch doesn't even give a fuck.
Sure.
Like what's their downside? They're still getting paid, right?
Right.
So their only downside would be if it looks real bad.
But now let's specifically tackle legality. Like, US law, is what he did illegal? Based off the information that I have now, it's very, very shaky at best. And I say that because it's the information that I have right now. Right
now, from what we can see, at best he's in a gray area. He may be technically not breaking the law, but it's still super shady what he's done. I don't think anyone would agree with it. I mean, I know all his stands are going to be in my comments and shit fucking defending this guy, because no matter how many times he proves he's a piece of shit, they just feel the need to defend him like a fucking cult leader. It makes no sense, but yeah, that's where we're at.
A future video here, probably within the next few days, I'm going to be having a full-on conversation and go really in depth about the details of this with the lawyer I was just showing you guys clips from. And I think through that, I'm going to have a much better answer for you. But as of right now, when we're focusing on the legal aspect of this, looking at US law, the first thing that I want to point out is I don't think that this is like money laundering. I think it's kind of scum.
No one thinks it's money laundering. Fraud is probably more what it would qualify as. Because money laundering would mean that the money going in was obtained through illegal means, and you're using it to get clean money out. I don't think that he's like getting paid in drug money, but clearly what he's doing isn't on the up and up.
That he's using Kronos and him using his alternate account to make these donations to artificially grow the train. But specifically with that last part, not about money laundering, but based off of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, this could be considered a deceptive business practice or deceptive act. So I'm pulling this information directly from the Federal Trade Commission Act, Section 5, Unfair or Deceptive Acts or Practices. Now I'm just showing you where this is in the document. I'm going to pull up a screenshot because it's easier to zoom in. We're focusing on this part here, deceptive acts and practices, assessing whether an act or practice is deceptive.
All right, so this is what the law considers whether or not an act is deceptive or not.
You may see that there's a little line here indicating that's where my mouse was. No, I did not edit this, and I'll leave a link in the description to this so that you can verify that yourself. I'm going to read this part off here. There must be a representation, omission, or practice that misleads or is likely to mislead the consumer. An act or practice may be found to be deceptive if there is a representation, omission, or practice that misleads or is likely to mislead the consumer. It goes on to say deception is not limited to situations in which a consumer has already been misled. Instead, an act or practice may be found to be deceptive if it is likely to mislead consumers. And then right down here below, omission of information may be deceptive if disclosure of the omitted information is necessary to prevent a consumer from being misled. Now, you could make the argument that the fact that they are not being transparent about the fact that Kronos is the person who is donating these, as he's using this alternate account, Serendipitous Bean, people don't recognize that this is artificial inflation. The fact that they were referencing...
Yeah, and that's intentional. That would absolutely be the intention of using an alt account from your mod instead of just using the mod's account itself. He is purposefully doing it to make sure that the audience doesn't realize it's artificial, which would qualify him legally as deceptive, yes.
That they were a friend with Kronos in real life. Now they're trying to create what looks to be organic growth, it seems like, by not telling people the truth of this. And I would say that if people knew this fact, then it could lead them to make a different decision when it came to donating to Pirate Software for this hype train. Again, that hinges on how people would react knowing that information, and we don't know that. Moreover, I'm not a fucking lawyer. See, I can admit that. And so I don't really know how much you could really get away with this, or if any other letter of the law is going to push against this specific argument when it comes to Twitch and receiving donations on a streaming service. And I'm kind of making this specific point in conjunction just below what we just read. It continues on to say this: the act or practice must be considered from the perspective of the reasonable consumer. In determining whether an act or practice is misleading, the consumer's interpretation of or reaction to the representation, omission, or practice must be reasonable under the circumstances. The test is whether the consumer's expectations or interpretation are reasonable in light of the claims made. And this part specifically is something that I found interesting, but I'm just...
Pulled out G Fuel.
Yeah, I don't think any of his audience would find what he did reasonable.
Kind of speculating here. So it says, when representations or marketing practices are targeted to a specific audience, such as the elderly or the financially unsophisticated, the standard is based upon the effects of the act or practice on a reasonable member of that group. So we would ask that question, a member of that group being a Twitch viewer who is potentially willing to donate to a streamer. How would the information of knowing that Kronos was using this alternate account to help inflate the train and keep it moving along, how would that impact a reasonable viewer of that stream? If I saw that a train was getting closer to a certain goal and I saw that it kept moving up, I would be more inclined to donate, seeing that what I think to be natural growth. If I knew that it was artificial, I would be less inclined to donate to it because that feels scummy. But I mainly think that it feels scummy because it's deceptive. If they had come out the gate saying, hey, you know, we're doing this thing, we are donating, we are going...
Yeah, when you've been deceived, even if what you're doing is on the up and up, when you've been deceived in order to have it done to you, it still feels scummy. Even if what they're doing is allowed, if they deceived you in order to do it instead of just telling you that's what we're doing, then it feels scummy. It's the lying part.
Going to keep the train alive with this certain amount of money because, you know, we want to. I still think that's lame. I think that's really stupid. I think a couple other people might agree with me on that, but I would have a much less averse reaction to it knowing it right out the gate. And I think that kind of comes into play with what we were just reading. But I really do want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So I will be speaking more to Mario, the lawyer, and figuring out and going more in depth as to what this could actually mean and get his, you know, lawyer perspective on if there is any, you know, potential breach of US law. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up for this video has to do with the potential defense that I see coming out, because I saw this YouTube short talking about how Pirate at the start of each month will donate a bunch of subs to his community.
Monthly ruse will happen every first of the month from now on. You see, Twitch is paying me a lot of money to run ads. I've accepted this deal, but I hate ads. So how do we fix this? I take half of this money and I turn it into tier 1 subs for you, which is over 200 subs. And then I gift those to the community. So all the people that get those 200 plus subs don't have any ads for the entire month. But since I gifted half of this, 39% of a tier 1 sub comes back to me. And Twitch still pays me a bunch of money on top of that. So I actually make about $1,700, which is more money than I make in a month normally. And also, none of you get to watch ads.
Now, my first rebuttal to this is the fact that it is 200 tier 1 subs coming from Pirate Software. He's saying that he would be gifting that to his community. So number one, We know that Kronos is the one that is dropping these subs. Okay, well maybe it is Kronos that's dispersing these. Okay, well if we go back to this DM communication between the two of them, we're going to see that he says that he donated 100 tier 1s on his personal, but they were talking about focusing on either doing bit donations or tier 3s since those might be better. Bits being 82% return. So
yeah, and those two things specifically were what was coming from the alt. So that's the part he didn't disclose. Yeah, he's donating 200 tier 1 subs to the community every month as a way to give back. So he gets paid for running ads. He feels bad he runs ads. Like, I don't mind the stuff that he says he's doing. If he did it the way he said he was doing it, it would be great. It would sound like a great way for a streamer to run a stream. Like, Twitch gave me a deal where I have to show ads and I get paid a bunch of money from that deal. I feel bad that so many people in my community have to watch ads that once a month I take half the ad money, I spend it on subs, and I gift it to the community. I then get back half of that gift in revenue and subs that Twitch is going to pay me. So, you know, I've only lost a quarter of my revenue, but now 200 members of my community every month get to watch ad-free. That's great. That's a good way to handle that. But you didn't tell your community about the tier 3 subs that you brag about and all the bits that you were getting to keep the hype train going that were coming from this alt that you didn't tell them was actually your moderator.
So we know that the goal of this isn't what's being referenced in the short. It's not to do about...
It's like what I said last night about there always being a nugget of truth to what he's saying that makes him sound like a good guy. He has to paint himself out to be the good guy. But then he'll, you know, when you dig deeper, you find out that there was more to it.
A bunch of those tier 1 subs at the beginning of the month to help people not watch ads. This clearly is intentionally in reference to keeping the hype train alive, as you see down here with the did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. I just wanted to include that because there was some chat in my Discord about that specifically, and at first when I watched it, thought it was a good point, but then after looking back at the DMs, I'm very hesitant to believe that it had anything to do with the messages that we just went through. But I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I know this has been a very long video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed going through this investigation, have anything to say, please leave it in the comments below. Consider giving this video a like, subscribing if you're new here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios. Peace. Bye.
All right, so that's it for that video. We watched how Piratesoftware may have committed actual legal fraud in his attempt to game the system and fake his hype train. Is anything about this man real anymore? But now that we've seen the original video that this lawyer is about to react to, we're going to see his breakdown of it. Because I'm curious to know if he actually broke the law or not, or if I agree. It's a gray area. He definitely broke Twitch TOS. He should definitely at least see a ban. I don't know if he'll see any actual legal repercussions, but he should at least see a ban for what he's done. That can't be allowed. I mean, by Twitch's TOS, it flat out tells you can't do that. But
If not,
I have a feeling, because this is Twitch we're talking about here, and the rules don't apply to big streamers, this is going to be one of those situations where they look the other way because the stuff he's doing is technically making them more money. So why would they stop him? As from what I've gathered from Twitch, there's 2 times Twitch looks the other way. Twitch will look the other way when you have the right politics, aka Hassan and crew and people who agree with him, or B, they will look the other way when the things you're doing that are against TOS are profitable for them. That's why they look the other way on viewbots, because viewbots push a streamer to the top of the list, and even though those viewbots aren't making them any money, they're not making them any ad revenue, they make a streamer more popular, which brings more real viewers to that streamer. So I am 100% convinced that someone like Hassan viewbots. I'm sure many other big streamers viewbot. I don't believe there's 50,000 people watching him every single night. I think that he's got his viewbot set that if he sees it drop below a certain number, then he's going to up that viewbot to bring it back up, because he doesn't want to look like he's irrelevant and get bad press or bad headlines, or, you know, end up on live stream fail. And the more popular he looks, the more people are going to want to watch to find out why, which brings in real viewers to watch ads, which brings money to Twitch. So I think that's when they make their exception. Anyway, let's find out if he broke the law, though.
Piratesoftware has opened the door to fraud allegations after a leaked DM shows some controversial behavior.
So he opens right up and says he's opened the door to fraud, which leads me to believe that it sounds like it might be illegal.
Regarding his mod, bit donations, hype trains, and we're going to get into that today on The Legal Mindset.
Or are we not going to listen to his legal knowledge? Is his legal knowledge now null and void, even if it's correct, because he had a Passport Bro channel or some shit? Whatever narrative Hassan's pushing. Like, I don't care if he had a Passport Bro channel. Is it cringe? Absolutely. But does it make all of the knowledge he learned about the law and the fact that he is a lawyer irrelevant? No.
That, of course, I'm Andrew Escobar, American attorney in the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge in a fast facts format, bringing you the quick and dirty version of the latest news. So Piratesoftware has been in the internet news over the past, 3, 4, 5, 6 months for various things that he has been doing. But now we have him actually getting caught in something where there could be real legal liability. Now, to be very clear, we are not addressing the drama today. So we're not going to talk about how he got his party killed in WoW and how he failed to even give a basic apology and say, hey, look, listen, this was really my fault. I could have done.
Yeah, it's been talked to death anyway. But he's bringing it up because it is funny to mention. I get what I see what you're doing there, Legal Mindset. I see the game that you're playing.
Or here, not try to deflect it, not try to blame.
We're not going to say it, and then proceeds to say it. I see what he's doing.
Everybody equally, but just take responsibility and own up. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about any of the fig tree allegations and whatever he did with a ferret. That's between him and the ferret. We're also not talking about Stop Killing Games, although we did talk about that on a previous episode, and you can tune back and catch my Stop Killing Games commentary. However, one thing we are going to talk about is this fall in subs, because a lot of this does have to do with the fact that Piratesoftware, due to all of these controversies, is hemorrhaging subs. And when you are hemorrhaging subs, and I'll bring this up again at the end, this opens you up to a lot of potential problems from people that used to be supporters. So obviously, in the over 104,000 people as of date over the last just 30 days, losing over 104K followers, amongst those certainly are some whales, some people that donated a lot to his channel and now feel really, really hurt. We feel betrayed by Piratesoftware. And whenever you have that happen...
See, it's another thing I feel doesn't get talked about enough is the sheer amount of fucking subs and followers he's lost since this has started that he doesn't harp on and that he pretends isn't happening. He is 104,000 in the negative.
And not only are you going to have more people paying attention to your channel, more people looking for you to make mistakes, more people logging what you're doing, but you're also increasing potential liability, because one of those people, any of those people that donated a lot, that felt they gave a lot, might have claim or cause if you end up slipping up and they felt misled, and that might generate some sort of cause of action. And that's something we might have here today. So let's get into it. What happened? So Piratesoftware, while live, accidentally showed a DM with his moderator. That DM shows that his mod was purchasing bits to extend Pirate's hype train. Now, that's a Twitch thing, and wherever you're on YouTube, we only have hype trains and you guys smashing the like button and commenting on the video.
Which is my cue to promote myself. You guys need to smash that like button. And also, sub to the channel. Trying to hit 1,000 so I can make some shekels. Because I make my money the legitimate way. I'm not going to boost myself. I don't have the money to pay myself to fake this. So, if you guys could give it to me, that'd be great. Just saying. You give me the sub, YouTube will give me the money. Do it!
Which is always appreciated. But that's a particular mechanism at Twitch, and Piratesoftware has actually been known for breaking that record repeatedly. In fact, only recently, I believe the VTuber Vidal, Neurosama over there, beat his record, but previously he'd been setting records as related to this hype train. So it's something that, as a channel, if you're setting records, you're typically pretty proud of that. Now, it appears his DM, the DM with his moderator, it appears his DM was purchasing bits to extend Pirate's hype train. Now, by and in and of itself, and we're going to see that with the terms of service, etc., that probably wouldn't be a problem if the moderator was doing that on their moderator account, right? The moderator was just, as a moderator, going and donating those bits. However, it was beyond just the moderator doing it. The moderator was donating them not with their main account, but with an alt account, which the mod made Pirate aware of, and which
but more importantly, didn't make the viewers aware of.
Presented itself not as the mod, but as a friend of the mod, as a separate person who was not the mod, which is not true. We're going to see that right today. So I'm going to pull up the actual footage for this. Of course, if you want to catch the full analysis, right, the full breakdown, you can always catch the full version on my live. So here is Piratesoftware, and this is the moment in which he was caught in 4K showing the DM. So here's him during gameplay.
I'd like to place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What?
Okay, so here's where he pulls it up, and this is the screenshot. We're going to go into it. I'm going to read it through, but here's the screenshot, and you can see how quickly he's going to click away from this. He's just going to try to clear this out because obviously this does not look good for him.
So this is him pulling it up on stream here, and I'll just go ahead and let the rest of it play, as you guys will see that this is indeed Piratesoftware. You can see his messages between Kronos, the ones that we were just showing you, and then you're going to watch.
So you can see he's got it up here. He's going to click away, right? He clicks away pretty quickly, right, to get over here. And by the way, another thing, big credit to Quinn Theo. I'm going to tag his video in the video below for bringing this up and for making this presentation and kind of collecting this together. But in that screenshot, we have some pretty damning proof that he was talking with the moderator in order to engage in this behavior. So let's look at this here. I'm going to read through this for you guys so you get it. So Piratesoftware says, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return if you need to save it. So what he's talking about is, what is the most efficient way for you to buy these bits and then extend the hype train? And the return would imply that he's going to get money back, that he's going to get reimbursed. So that implies that as this moderator is donating, Piratesoftware is going to pay him back for what he gets. So it's going to be returned to him. So he's going to get, as Piratesoftware says, like an 82% return. See, T3s might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought it? He says, I've done 100 T1s on my personal, ready to do 40 T3s on my alt.
Good shit.
Can do bits instead or both. Did 50K bits at 20 seconds left. So saying he extended the hype train with 50K bits when there were 20 seconds left. Okay, what is the alt? Serendipitous Bean. Remember that name, Serendipitous Bean. It's going to come up. Where's the beef? And then he goes on to say, didn't mention this to the mods either. Now the challenge is to clear the queue. The queue is referring to his kind of backup TTS queue, which he has to clear or it's donated to charity. But the more important thing is this Serendipitous Bean. And here's this profile here and this information courtesy of Guy on Twitter. So thank you, Guy. This was the description here of Serendipitous Bean. IRL friend of Kronos. So Kronos is the main moderator. And excited that they are free from corporate. Love your stream and what you do for the people here. There aren't many cooler supportive streamers left once they get big like this. Stay cool, bud, and tell Kronos that Ben sends their regards. So this person is clearly painting themselves as not Kronos, not the moderator, but a separate IRL friend of this moderator.
Damn.
Which is extremely deceptive if you ask me. Now, how does this convert to a legal issue? Well, there's 3 potential legal questions, and these were brought up also by Quinn Theo in his very good video, which once again...
Yeah, here we go. The answers to the legal questions. We saw what he did. I hate Eonda. Yes, I saw what he did, but did he break the law?
I'm going to link in the comment below. He brought up the first 2. I'm introducing a third one here. So the first one is Twitch terms of service. Then we have federal law violations and state law violations. So let's look at the...
Oh, that's a good point. State and federal law might be different. They didn't bring up state law the first time.
Twitch terms of service. So obviously, Twitch has a terms of service. There's many things you can and cannot do, but one thing they have is called a bit acceptable use policy. So you're supposed to use bits in a certain way. You're supposed to behave like a normal contributor and not do certain impermissible things. Like, for example, you can't solicit bits in exchange for money or donations. That's one thing. You can't provide items or services that are sort of associated with monetary value in exchange for bits. And a big thing here, and this is one that I think he has to really watch out for, is selling, offering to sell, trading, bartering, or transferring bits to other users in exchange for real or virtual currencies. So if this mod is using these bits and transferring them to Piratesoftware, and Piratesoftware is converting that to cash and paying him back, that would appear to violate the TOS. Beyond that, you cannot use the bits to engage in any fraudulent, criminal, or otherwise unauthorized activity, soliciting or receiving bits for any fraudulent or any other criminal activity. That could be a problem because of the nature of what they did, because they engaged in a kind of fraud there where you were having a sock puppet account, a fake account, an alt account, right, that is donating these bits, pretending to be a friend instead of a mod. Now, understand that a mod can very well be perceived as an agent or an employee of the streamer. So if a mod goes out and does something on the streamer's behalf, they are an agent. And the streamer is what's called the principal. That's principal agent theory. And a principal can be liable for the actions of their agent. If you tell somebody to go out and do something, and certainly if you're compensating them or reimbursing them for that, they are your agent. So it's as if the streamer was doing this. So it's as if Piratesoftware was engaging in this. And in this case, it's doubly damning because he shows he knows this. He was told this, and he didn't say, don't do that. He didn't say, well, that might be against TOS. He says, well, that's kind of shady. No, he's like, okay, great. He's like, okay, fine. In fact, he's strategizing on the best way to do this, which is, once again, not a very good look when we're coming
they're literally conspiring to do it now.
To allegations of fraud. So let's continue here.
So we've got motive, and we've got a possible criminal act.
We have federal. Oh, no, sorry. Let me go back here. With the terms of service, some people allege, and this is more of a kind of niche allegation here, but some people do allege, and this is something that I believe one of the lawyers brought up for this, was that, well, this is something that there might be a separate contract for. So the lawyer that was talking to Quinn Theo said, hey, there might be a separate contract that might supersede that. Well, in a separate part of the Twitch terms of service, which I looked up, it actually says even in other agreements, even if there is a separate agreement, even if there's a supplement, you still have to follow these terms and you cannot violate them. And I'm very sure that a separate agreement would have incorporated that statement because it's intended to be applied to all separate agreements. So even if there was a separate private streamer agreement, even if Piratesoftware got a lawyer and negotiated a private agreement with Twitch, even if that happened, I doubt he's able to break those terms.
Yeah, basically, if he had a separate agreement like they were theorizing there, then it's highly unlikely that that separate agreement would not include the part about fraud. It's not like having a second agreement would make it okay to commit fraud. Ah, fuck, I missed it.
And beyond that, he's not allowed to break the law. And what we get into next, and the thing that's very spicy, is potential violations of federal law and state law. So let's talk about federal law. Federal law is the Federal Deceptive Trade Practices Act, and that's something that is very, very well known by me. I covered that a lot. That was one of my kind of, I would say, specialties in the corporate realm when I was corporate counsel. There are 3 separate elements. So you need a representation, omission, or practice that is likely to mislead a customer. So the practice would be, hey, donating bits from the sock puppet account. The consumer's interpretation is reasonable under the circumstances. So the consumer is thinking this is a private party. This is somebody else. This is not the mod. This is not Piratesoftware. They're thinking, oh, look, this person is extending the hype train. And so because of that misleading representation, that materially led others to donate more to keep it going. It's a very well-known thing in scams and cons. This is something that confidence men do. They get fake buyers to go out there and gin up interest so that people will buy stuff even though it's overpriced. That is a very common fraudulent practice. So by not disclosing the fact that essentially your agent, your employee is going out here and doing that, that is misleading a reasonable viewer, a reasonable consumer. That's a possible interpretation of that. Once again, it's not for sure that he would be convicted of this, but this is opening.
Do I think he's actually going to see any legal repercussion for this at all? No, I think even if he did break the law, which it looks like he might have, I don't think anyone's actually going to go after him, and there's not going to be any repercussion for it. Do I think Twitch should ban him at the very least? Yeah. And I think everybody is right to call him out on this.
Up the door to these questions. Beyond that, there's state law. So Twitch is in California. Every state has their own Deceptive Practices Act. Florida has one, Georgia has one, New York. A lot of them follow what's called the UDTPA, which is...
Jesus.
That makes total sense.
I got lucky.
No.
The Uniform Deceptive
That ain't
Trade
law.
Practices Act,
That's just
but some of them
bogus.
also have
That's
things
just
that
the
go
game
further.
design
And
being bad.
Oh, shit.
some of them have criminal penalties, including California, which can hit you if you go cross certain lines. So Consumer Legal Remedies Act, California has that. And I mentioned California, by the way, because that's where Twitch is. So it would be very reasonable if a California donor, if a California whale brought a claim against a California corporation in a California court against, Twitch and against, Mr. Piratesoftware. So there's three things that really come up, and these are separate under the law. The Consumer Legal Remedies Act. Now, that's typically used to products, but there could be an argument that it would apply to services, particularly services that were fraudulent or misleading. But beyond that, there's California Business Code 17500, which leads to false or misleading statements or false or misleading advertisement. And this could be perceived as, hey, falsely advertising that you're number one on the hype train, that you're this hype train leader, that you're this person that needs to be donated to keep this thing going to breach all these levels, when really most of those levels, or maybe a lot of those levels, some of those levels were just artificially inflated by either Piratesoftware's mod or the sock puppet accounts. I mean, who knows? We don't really have a full...
Yeah, and you don't know if any of his other mods were doing it. Like, how many times has this sock puppet thing been done to boost his numbers? All he's doing is open the door to that question now. Damn.
Track on that yet. And beyond that, there's the unfair competition law. And this one I think is pretty juicy, because this one would even allow other creators the potential to say, hey, this is unfair competition. You're allowing these people to inflate their numbers and get this hype train going on, get featured on the front page, get highlighted, get hyped up, by all of the platform and by the CEO himself, all this sort of good stuff. And that is unfair competition. That's giving them an unfair edge, because they're doing things that are violating the TOS freely. And hey, if you don't enforce this, Twitch, if you don't do anything, Twitch, this is a problem. Now, beyond that, there are other issues other than him losing subs. And of course, once again, him losing subs just adds the potential of people that might sue. But beyond that,
I don't think anyone's actually going to sue him. I don't think any of... I mean, his viewers would probably have the right to sue him because they have been deceived. But it's arguable whether or not they lost money and there were actual damages there. Because the viewers could say, well, I only subbed because he reached a certain hype train level, and I felt pressured in order to keep the hype train going. Had I known that it would have ended a long time ago had he not been inflating it, then I wouldn't have donated. Yeah, you could say that, but that's not like a direct cause. I'm not sure how well that would hold up as an argument in court, or if a judge would even understand it.
Advertisers might feel like they were defrauded. They might feel angry.
Now, the advertisers would probably have a good reason to it, but they only stand to gain from it, though, because if the hype train is going and it's attracting viewers, then that's more viewers to watch their ads. True, that's also more viewers who get, subs from his mods who are fraudulently giving out subs, and subs don't have to watch ads. But he could always just point at his numbers and say, well, true, we gave out X number of subs, but we gained this many thousand new viewers, so that's new people to watch your ads, so you still came out in the good. So I don't think he's going to see any legal trouble from it whatsoever. I mean, it's fun to speculate and see, would he actually be in trouble if somebody decided to? Looks that way, but I don't think anyone ever actually is, which is exactly what all his simps and his audience is going to lean on. They're going to do the same thing that Dr. Disrespect Simps did, where they were like, where were the charges? Where were the charges, bro? There were no charges filed, bro, so we didn't do anything wrong. Just because there's no lawsuit or charges doesn't mean no wrong was done.
Because they're saying, hey, we're running ads and they're supposed to be on the top channels. But if he's falsely inflating his numbers and he's being falsely promoted, well, maybe we're not really getting the value we thought we were getting. We thought we were getting a value of someone who was number one in the hype trains, who was leading in this pack of hype trains. And we're not getting that value. And even if they don't have a claim, they might express their anger. They might pull out. They might refuse to advertise. Beyond that, this could open the flawed floodgates. If Twitch does not crack down on this, does not issue some punishment, some correction, well, others might say, well, I can do that too. And then everybody is going.
It is on Y. I will stand by that. It is weird. Doesn't make any fucking sense if you played any other fighting game.
Can you not change the controls?
Yeah, you can, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna play this shit like it's meant to be. This is how they say it's supposed to be. Why? Who am I to judge Capcom's great control scheme?
I don't know. Maybe. Then again, all right. Look, they're Japanese. Things are always backwards over there. Have you seen the Nintendo controller? The A, B, X, and Y buttons are all swapped anyway. So,
or even Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they had the special button be on the fucking A button.
Oh, fuck, nice.
And committing this deception, which would just open up Twitch as a really, really poor perceived platform where everyone is essentially artificially boosting their own numbers, which once again goes towards Twitch's impotent image. Twitch is something that Twitch's a platform that I've talked about a lot because they failed to enforce their own rules evenly, fairly, and justly. And if you have terms of service and you never enforce them, well, that's not a good look for your platform as a whole. And that's why other platforms are rising. Even platforms like Kick are passing Twitch in many metrics because of their poor image. And other platforms like YouTube look at that and say, hey, we're going to stay away from those sort of images, that sort of image, and enforce our rules. So this is a really bad look for Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's the only damage done, and the reason why Twitch may feel obligated to act is because it's bad for their brand. But then again, there's so much other stuff that they get away with that's already bad for their brand. Then why wouldn't they? Why would they punish him when there's so many times like Hassan says we deserve 9/11, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's so many other things that have happened that are bad for their brand that they let slide. Why would they give a fuck about this? This is a nothing burger in comparison. I mean, it would be a good reason, but I don't think they're going to do anything. I honestly don't think anything is going to happen to him. Oh, fuck.
It does not look good for Piratesoftware and is likely to continue his downward slide. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
You love that fucking shit. It is actually obnoxious, but I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, it's my...
It is your Achilles heel. I swear to God, if I just every single time just smack, like, I hate having to play like that, but it is how I win. I just wait for you to do.
It's what you gotta. Yeah, it's what you gotta do. Because I don't even. Sometimes I don't even mean to press it. It's just like it's like a panic button. I don't know how to get out of this, so I'll try that button, just because it gives me armor. So I do need to not rely on it so much. It's like a reflex. I'm not even meaning to do it half the time. I swear to God, I'm not. I don't even mean to. All right.
You don't unbind it.
That does it for... Well, I still want it to do it as like a counter to when other people do it. It's just I can't help it. Well, that does it for that. I honestly think that Piratesoftware is a giant piece of shit who is a complete fraud. I think he lies like he breathes. He is a pathological liar. He over-exaggerates literally everything. There's a nugget of truth to what he says, and then he'll over-exaggerate it to an extreme to the point that the truth part doesn't even matter anymore. His inability to take accountability is what makes him the internet's newest locale, and I think that we're going to get many laughs from him for years to come, because even when he's caught in 4K with DMs, he brought up himself in front of everybody. He's going to act like what we saw isn't what we saw. He's going to try to convince you that water ain't wet, and it never ceases to amaze me. I'm always in shock and awe that people that are this obviously fake, that this obviously full of bullshit, people that are this insufferable have viewers. Even after they become, like, it still shocks me to this day that I'm going to have people almost guaranteed in the comments of this video defending him and telling me I'm stupid, telling me that what I saw wasn't real. when we all just saw it happen. They're the people that you'll walk in the room, the old shaggy defenseman. It wasn't me. That you can catch them red-handed and they'll still deny it. It's mind-blowing. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this YouTube video. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. If you want to catch me live, I go live at roughly 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific every night. And if you want to get in on the community, there's a link to the Discord in the description. And that Discord is where you can see when I go live. There's plenty of conversation that's had there even when I'm not streaming. So you get a little extra context to all this stuff. For now, though, thanks for watching this one. And I'll see you guys in the next one.